Aloha, welcome back to my channel. My name is Raj if you are not familiar with me, and if you are, it's me again. Welcome. Today's topic is on validation, how to validate yourself and the importance of validating yourself. Jumping straight into it as usual, validation is simply confirming what it is that you are feeling or experiencing, or giving yourself that assurance that this is what is happening and this is how I feel about it when it comes to emotions. This cuts across in all relations in our lives, whether it's intimate relations, relations with family members, relations with the boss or colleague, whatever the case may be, right? Validation is a very important thing, and the fact that you have to give yourself the validation so that you don't go and seek external validation from other people. So it goes back to childhood, depending on your upbringing. If you were not validated as a child, if you sought for emotional validation from your caregivers and they didn't necessarily validate your experience, what happens is as you grow, you tend to seek for that validation outside them. So for women, or like for young women or girls I should say, we tend to seek that in guys or boys, depending on the age. If you don't put the lid on that, it goes into adulthood, and then what happens is you seek validation from men. Even worse, imagine you're in a relationship and your partner is not the best in the emotional department, doesn't have much of an emotional intelligence quotient, or is not very emotionally aware. That relationship is going to be a very tough relationship. Let me delve a bit into attachment styles. So when it comes to attachment styles, we have different types: a secure attachment, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and then there's one more. There are typically 4 types. I'm blanking out on it now, but depending on which one that you are, what I want to say is that even people who are securely attached, they still need validation, right? And it's more of they validate themselves, but it's an added bonus when they are validated by their partners. When it comes to relationships, validation is a healthy thing. A lot of people think that you don't need to be validated by your partner, but honestly speaking, you actually do. What's the point in being in a relationship when the person that you are with doesn't even know how to validate your experience, your emotions, and you're simply in the relationship alone? There's no point in that kind of relationship. You give yourself your validation first, and it's an added bonus when your partner validates you as well. Now, in the case where a relationship is toxic, what happens is that a person's experience is not validated by the other partner. Let me give a practical example. Boyfriend hurts girlfriend. Girlfriend tells boyfriend, this is a hurtful thing that you have done. It's not right for you to do this. Stop doing that. Boyfriend doesn't understand what girlfriend is talking about and just leaves the case and goes on about his day as if nothing happened. In a case like that, waiting around for that boyfriend to validate the hurt that you are feeling is the lost cause. And if you do finally get around to that person saying, okay, I can understand where you're coming from and I'm sorry, but then the pattern happens over and over, which is why you need to pay attention to the things that people do. Simply accepting words is not enough. Look at people's actions. What are their actions saying about them and about how they feel about you? Because people will respond to you how they feel about you. And in relationships, there's only so much you can do with words. Just because a partner validates you doesn't negate the fact that you can validate yourself. The primary thing, or the ideal situation, is for you to learn how to validate your experience, what it is that you are feeling. So if boyfriend hurts me, girlfriend, I'm not going to be sitting around waiting for that person to come and tell me that what I did was wrong and I'm sorry and give me permission to feel the hurt that I feel. Now that I have left a toxic situationship, not even a situationship, a toxic relationship that I was in, and put in the work to heal from it and still putting in that work, I have learned to validate myself to a large extent. And it's reflected in the different relations that I have. So whether it's family I'm dealing with or friends, I don't wait around for them to come and tell me that this is how you feel and this shouldn't have happened. I validate what it is that I'm feeling. I'm feeling hurt. Like, how am I feeling about this situation? And that goes back to knowing yourself, knowing who it is that you are. How do you feel about the situation? Do you like what is happening? If you don't like it, what are you doing about it? You're not a tree. Literally, you're not. There's a there's a post like that. You're not a tree. Like, you can move from where you are, and definitely there are situations where it makes things tougher. But that whole mentality where we think we can't do anything, it's a victim mentality. You are so much more than a victim. Honestly, as difficult as circumstances may be, you have a choice. I'm not going to sit around waiting for someone to come and validate what it is that I'm feeling. If I'm feeling hurt about the situation, and I'm feeling hurt about the situation, I didn't like how you acted, I didn't like how you responded, I don't appreciate how you spoke to me. These are things that we can validate within ourselves. We don't need to wait for permission for the person who offended us to come and now say, the way I spoke to you wasn't right, before you feel okay. Why are you depending on another person for you to feel okay? In a relationship, it's important that you get that validation, but then you need to also analyze who it is that you are with. Take time to study the person before you get into the relationship, which is one thing that, like, now dear means, like, it's a Ghanaian term. I don't even know how to explain it. Now, if I'm going into a relationship, listen, I'm not just jumping inside. I'm not. Just because you've been trying to date me for a while doesn't mean that that's all it's gonna take. You have to get to know yourself. What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? What would you tolerate? What won't you tolerate? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What is your breaking point? What is your limit? All these things are things that you have to ask yourself and find the answers to for yourself. Don't go and copy and paste someone else's reasons for doing things or someone else's way of doing things onto yourself. You are a unique individual. So if someone's method is not working for you, that's even a sign that you shouldn't be adopting it for yourself. You can learn from other people, but first learn from yourself. Take time to know yourself. Now, if someone does something that I don't like, instead of me waiting around and be complaining that this is what this person did, and not complain to other people, mostly in my mind, like, don't you know what you did? I'm even laughing at myself because that life was just not it, honestly, compared to where I am now, where something can happen and I just tell myself, yeah, that was a mess and that wasn't right, and I do not wait for that person to come and acknowledge that, because for some people, they don't even realize that they've done something wrong. Do you understand that? You will be waiting, especially if you're dealing with a toxic person, you will be waiting and wasting your own precious time and feeling so hurt that, oh, they are moving on with their life, and while in the relationship, they are moving on with their life and you are here, you're feeling hurt, and they're acting as if nothing's happening, because to them nothing happened. Sometimes that's how it genuinely is to them. They don't see anything wrong with the wrong actions that they've done. Other times they know it's wrong and they just don't care, right? So if you are the kind of person who has been hurt multiple times by your partner and are seeking validation from that partner, this is a good time to actually pause, get to know yourself better, ideally leave that relationship because clearly it's not working. It's not working. I don't know how long you want to stay in something that's not working, but that's a waste of time. So learn how to validate yourself, learn what it is that makes you happy, and learn what it is that brings you peace. There's one real true peace, the peace of God that surpasses all understanding, and it's going to guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. So look for that peace. Seek God. Search for Him. Seek Him and you will find Him when you seek Him with all your heart. That's what God says. And He's not a liar. He's not man that He shall lie. Okay? So put God first. Get to know yourself. And the rest will follow. Honestly, the rest will follow. Now I've learned to validate myself. I don't wait around for... I'm not dating, right? But I think I have reached the point in my validation journey that if I were to date, or if I were to start dating, I wouldn't do some of the things that I did in my previous relationship, where I was waiting for that person to validate me and validate my hurt that I felt based on the wrong things that he did. Now, no, I'm not going to be waiting around. And God willing, I won't even get into a relationship with someone with those same traits like the person that I was with. This inner work that I'm doing, I cannot end up in that position ever again in my life. No bueno. It's not happening. God forbid. God forbid. God forbid. God forbid. Oh my goodness. God forbid. The takeaway from this video is learn to validate yourself. Your experiences are valid, and you don't need to wait around for other people to tell you that what it is that you've experienced is valid. Validate yourself, because your experience is valid. I think this video may be a short one, but I hope you found it helpful. I think that's pretty much all I have to say today. Alright, so take care guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care and God bless. Bye. Have you subscribed to my channel yet? Click the thumbnail in the middle of the screen now to do so. And while you're at it, check out these other videos that you like. Take care and God bless. Bye. Click them now.